Hey guys, we're over here at St. Michael's Cemetery in Pensacola, Florida. Where we left off last time was talking about Salvador T. Pons' time as a county representative. Let's go and move right on with it. We talked about last time as his time as a county representative. His term would go from 1868 to 1870. In the middle of that, in 1869, he would serve as a city alderman for the city of Pensacola. And he would serve just a few terms with that, going from 1869 to 70 and another time in 1874. Speaking of 1874, this would be one of the most important years in Salvador T. Pons' life. He would be elected mayor of Pensacola in 1874, the highest executive position in the entire city. Salvador's time as mayor of Pensacola would in some areas reflect what he did as county representative, but still mainly pushing for bridging the divide between African Americans and whites living in Pensacola, Florida. Now, while Salvador's time as mayor was one of his political high rises, what you have to know about him is that he was very politically ambitious and a very resilient man. After his one-year term of mayor was over, in 1875, he would once again become a Escambia County representative, serving out that year term. Also, after that was over, he would go on to Nashville, Tennessee, to speak at the Nashville Convention of Colored People, where he would advocate for basic universal education, land ownership, especially for the middle class, and temperance, while trying to be pushing for an idea of political moderation rather than violent militant action. After that time in Nashville, Salvador would find himself back in Pensacola, this time to work as a city clerk from 1877 going until 1880, and then from 1882 to 1884. Now, it was around the late 1870s / early 1880s too, where he would work as a federal customs officer in Warrenton, just east of Pensacola. What you have to know about Salvador is he was a very, very busy guy, as during these political times in his life, like mayor, representative, city clerk, alderman, he would actually still work as a master bricklayer in the naval yard here. Because the reality of Reconstruction politics, especially in the lower areas of government, was that it did not pay enough. So he would be working as a bricklayer too, to support his 3 sons and his wife back home. While things looked like they were going up for Salvador in the 1870s, in the 1880s, things would start going downhill, starting at the city level. As on December 11, 1880, a great fire would engulf Pensacola. It would take on a lot of the business district, but would also destroy some of the governmental district as well, destroying many city archives and governmental records, including much of Salvador T. Pons' time as mayor and just as any city position he held. Going into 1882, Pensacola would not catch a break, as it would be hit with a massive yellow fever epidemic. This would affect much of the citizenry and would also affect Salvador T. Pons, as he would catch it and it would deteriorate his health. Going back into the area of politics, what you have to know about the 1880s is that Reconstruction was practically over. It did not matter how much social mobility African Americans had. It did not matter how much the radical Republicans were doing in government. The time was about to go and shift back to the era of conservatism, specifically for the bourbon white Democrats. The era of conservatism had begun. From June 9th to August 3rd, 1885, the Florida Constitutional Convention would convene. In this, Florida Governor Edward A. Perry, a former Brigadier General in Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, a former judge, and now the 14th Governor of Florida, would work to destroy the city charters of Pensacola and Jacksonville. In Pensacola, he'd use 2 prominent figures to be able to accomplish this. William D. Chipley, a former Confederate colonel, Ku Klux Klan member, and now a railroad executive, would work to destroy the Knights of Labor alliance with the African Americans in the city, and would place himself as mayor of Pensacola and appoint several different bourbon white Democrats into power. He would have help from William Blount, a staunch Democrat and lawyer in Pensacola. He would work to kind of transform any archives that exist to favor the bourbon white Democratic movement and pretty much reverse any single thing that was left from Pons' administration. So, what would be happening was pretty much a bloodless takeover and a legal coup. After the coup, Jim Crow laws would be installed all throughout Florida, and a new era of discrimination would rise. All of the social mobility African Americans once had would be gone. All of the progress that radical Republicans made would be gone. And with this, Salvador T. Pons' career, his political career, would be over. He would be forced to work as a driver from 1885 onwards. And on March 21st, 1890, he would die from tuberculosis, known as consumption back then. Though he was popular in his political career and re-elected several times, all of what Pensacola said upon his death in the newspaper was, Creole, Salvador Pons, 55 years, consumption. Salvador T. Pons left behind a great legacy, though much of it was destroyed in that fire in 1880 and from the erasal in 1885. The works of Pensacola News Journal and several others would revitalize it through extensive research and finding at least some surviving documents. And what we know is that he tried, one, bridging that divide between African Americans and whites, and just championing for the rights of basic human beings. My name is Colin on History, and thank you guys for watching.